"Serve me in English, and I'll pay you $1,000, laughed the millionaire, until she spoke 5 languages. The chandeliers of the Jardin Étoilé shimmered like captured stars, casting golden light over white linen and crystal glasses. It was the kind of place where silence spoke louder than words, where wealth draped itself in tailored suits and whispered conversations. Among the elite sat Richard Langston, a self-made tech millionaire known more for his arrogance than his philanthropy. Beside him lounged his girlfriend, Chloe, and her younger sister, Maya, both dressed in designer gowns that cost more than most people's monthly rent. Their server, Alina, moved quietly through the dining room. Her uniform was crisp, her posture perfect, but her accent, soft, melodic, with traces of Eastern Europe, had already drawn smirks from Richard earlier in the evening. When Elena approached their table to refill water glasses, Richard leaned back with a smirk. "You know," he said loudly enough for nearby diners to hear, "if you served me in proper English, I'd give you $1,000 right now." Chloe giggled. Maya looked away, uncomfortable. Elena paused. Her dark eyes met his, not with anger, but with quiet dignity. "I am speaking English, sir," she replied calmly. Richard barked a laugh. "That's not proper English. That's whatever that is. Come on, sweetheart, speak like a real American. Then maybe I'll consider doubling it." A hush fell over the nearby tables. Forks stilled. Conversations dipped into silence. Elena straightened. She didn't flinch. Instead, she smiled, a small, knowing curve of her lips. Then, in flawless, crisp British English, she said, "I was born in Bucharest, raised in Vienna, and educated in London. English is my 3rd language. Would you like me to serve you in German next, or perhaps French? I noticed your Bordeaux is from Saint-Emilion. Shall I describe its terroir in the tongue of its makers?" Richard blinked. His smirk faltered. Before he could respond, Elena turned slightly and addressed a nearby couple speaking rapid Italian, offering them the evening's dessert menu in perfect Italian. Then, without missing a beat, she greeted a group of Japanese tourists in warm, respectful Japanese, helping them navigate the menu with ease. The entire restaurant was now watching. Finally, she turned back to Richard. In smooth, elegant Spanish, she said, "Your arrogance speaks louder than your wallet, senor. And trust me, no amount of money can buy the grace you so clearly lack." Silence. Not the polite kind, the kind that hums with awe and judgment. Even Chloe looked mortified. Maya stared at Elena with wide, admiring eyes. Richard's face flushed crimson. He opened his mouth to apologize, to lash out, but no words came. What could he say? He'd mocked her for something she'd mastered far beyond his comprehension. He'd assumed her accent meant ignorance. Instead, it was a passport to worlds he'd never bothered to visit. Elena didn't gloat. She simply nodded once, collected their empty bread plates, and walked away with the same quiet grace she'd arrived with. But the moment had already changed everything. Later that night, as the restaurant emptied, Richard approached Elena near the staff break room. He held out a $10 bill. Not $1,000, but a gesture nonetheless. I was wrong," he said, voice uncharacteristically soft. "You're incredible." Elena looked at the bill, then at him. "Keep it," she said gently. "Just remember, people aren't defined by how they speak, but by how they listen." He laughed without another word. The next morning, a letter arrived at the restaurant addressed to Elena. Inside was a $10,000 scholarship check made out to her, along with a note, "For your next degree, and my deepest apology, Richard Langston." Elena cried, not from joy, but from the weight of being seen, not as a waitress with an accent, but as a woman of depth, intelligence, and resilience. Word of the encounter spread, not as gossip, but as a quiet lesson whispered between friends. Never judge a soul by the sound of their voice, because true wealth isn't counted in bank accounts. It's measured in humility, in the courage to stand tall when mocked, and in the grace to forgive those who underestimate you. And sometimes the most powerful languages aren't spoken with words, but with dignity. If this story moved you, hit like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more tales that remind us what really matters. Because in a world obsessed with appearances, kindness is the rarest currency of all. Thanks for watching.